Have you heard about the trainer who fell into the shark tank? No. What about the shark that got into the cage with the tourists? Not that either. Then you've missed out on a lot. Today, I'm going to tell you about the most dangerous shark attacks. Make sure to watch all the way to the end to find out how the most extreme encounters with these sea giants wrap up. Enjoyed the show? Diving with sharks. How far can a passion for your favorite thing take you? For 17-year-old Nolan from sunny California, it turned out to be not just a matter of training, but a fight for his life. Nolan's favorite activity is paddleboarding. In just a few weeks of training, he noticeably outperformed his peers, confidently conquering the water. On a regular school day, after finishing his classes, he decided to test his skills on his own. Grabbing his board and paddle, Nolan headed to the beach, planning to find out how far he could swim without the help of his coach Caroline. The sea was calling with gentle waves, perfect for riding. Planning to find out how far he could swim without the help of his coach Caroline. The sea beckoned with gentle waves, perfect for riding. Without a second thought, he stepped onto the board and started paddling against the current. The waves obediently parted before his efforts, and the young man reveled in his freedom and growing skill. Everything was going smoothly until a sudden feeling under the board made him uneasy. Something big was moving in the water. Nolan froze, and then, as if rising out of a nightmare, a huge great white shark appeared before him. It lunged at him, knocking him off the board. Panic washed over Nolan, but his instincts kicked in. Grabbing the paddle, he desperately tried to push away from the aggressive predator. The first hit landed on the shark's snout as it tried to grab his leg. But it was persistent. Her teeth sank into his flesh, and pain shot through Nolan's leg. With every ounce of strength left, he kept fighting, hitting the shark with the paddle over and over. Finally, his determination took over. After a series of powerful blows, the shark retreated and vanished into the waves. Wounded and exhausted, Nolan managed to climb back onto the board and struggled to make it to the shore. He was met by rescuers who quickly took him to the hospital. Despite his serious injuries, the doctors assured him that he would make a full recovery. This incident led to the temporary closure of the beach. But for Nolan, it became an important lesson about the strength of spirit and the ability to handle the unexpected. Paige from Australia. Paige, a young surfer from Perth, Australia, was getting ready for the most significant moment of her life, her first surfing competition. Her journey to this day was paved with years of hard training under the guidance of her father, Cohen, once a legendary surfer. The day before the competition, Paige was filled with excitement, but her father's support gave her confidence. To cope with her nerves, Paige went out to practice before the start. Grabbing her board, she started catching waves, showing off her grace and confidence. Spectators and participants watched her skill with admiration, comparing her to the young Cohen. However, the idyll was interrupted by an unexpected and frightening event. When the next wave knocked her off her board, a shark emerged from the water. It latched onto Paige's leg, and her scream pierced the air. Other surfers, gripped by fear, rushed to the shore, leaving the girl alone with the predator. Seeing his daughter in trouble, Cohen instantly jumped into the water without a second thought. Two rescuers also headed toward her in a motorboat. Meanwhile, Paige was fighting with all her might, trying to fend off the shark, but her strength was quickly fading. Cohen was the first to reach her. Clenching his fists, he unleashed a flurry of punches on the shark's snout, fighting for his daughter's life. His punches were decisive and powerful. But the shark wouldn't back down. Paige held onto him while her father kept fighting. Finally, after several strong kicks to the shark's snout, it loosened its grip and swam away, leaving Paige bleeding. The rescuers arrived just in time to help Cohen and Paige climb into the boat. On the shore, they rushed the girl to the hospital without delay. Despite her serious injuries, the doctors assured that she would recover, although the healing process would be a long one. Shark trainer. Gabriella is a unique specialist. She works as a shark trainer at the Spanish Animal Conservation Center and Aquarium, attracting thousands of curious visitors, especially children. Her charges are two sand tiger sharks, Javier and Alonso, sharks, amazed with melodies and visuals, They live in a separate aquarium. Javier likes music, Alonso visuals, and Javier responds to melodies, while Alonso is better at understanding visual signals, and their ability to follow commands amazes the audience. Experts watching the training believe Gabriella is changing stereotypes about sharks, showing them as intelligent and trainable. Gabriella learned Javier and Alonso would join a big feeding show, a chance to demonstrate sharks' ability to understand commands. The aquarium was filled with spectators eagerly awaiting the performance. This was a chance to show the audience that sharks can really understand commands. The next day, the aquarium was filled with spectators eagerly waiting for the performance. Gabriella, standing on the platform in the center of the pool, kicked off the show by tossing fish and squid into the water. Everyone was amazed at how accurately the sharks followed the commands. But soon, Javier and Alonso's behavior changed. They started circling around the platform, ignoring the commands. Gabriella figured they just wanted more food, so she gave another command. This time, the sharks obeyed, and the tension eased a bit. However, at the moment she leaned down for a new bucket of food, her foot slipped, and she fell into the water, landing right next to Alonso. At first, the audience thought the situation was under control, but Alonso suddenly showed aggression. He grabbed Gabriella by the arm, and blood started to stain the water. Trying to fend it off, she hit the shark on the snout, but that just made the predator angrier. Soon, Javier joined in, clamping onto her leg. Gabriella was losing strength, and fear gripped the audience as they realized that the trainer had lost control. Fortunately, the aquarium staff reacted quickly. They used tranquilizers to calm the sharks and pulled Gabriella out of the water. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors treated the deep wounds on her arm and leg. Despite her serious injuries, Gabriella survived, but she has a long road to recovery ahead. Diving with sharks Eli and Isla, inseparable friends, decided to spend their summer vacation in Hawaii, dreaming of unforgettable adventures. Their passion for the underwater world and love of marine animals led them to Oahu, an island with white beaches and crystal-clear waters. But this time, regular snorkeling just didn't seem like enough to them. They decided to take on an extreme challenge, free diving with sharks without a protective cage. When they arrived at the spot, they were greeted by an instructor named Clay, who happily agreed to be their guide on this dangerous yet mesmerizing adventure. The next morning, Clay took them by boat to the dive site. Before the start, he gave a brief briefing, explaining the main rule: no panic. Sharks can sense fear, and that can provoke them, he warned. The dive began in the calm waters of the open ocean. The deep blue surrounded them, giving a sense of freedom and a light thrill. Isla was nervous, but Eli supported her, holding her hand and giving her thumbs up. Everything was going smoothly until Clay spotted a shark approaching. He signaled to stick together and stay calm. Soon, a tiger shark appeared before them, a giant, graceful, yet formidable creature. Isla was frozen, unable to believe she was so close to one of the most dangerous sea predators. The shark, like a graceful shadow, began to circle around the group, studying them. When it swam under Isla, her fear took over, and she instinctively kicked the shark. That was a fatal mistake. The shark perceived the kick as a threat and instantly attacked. Its powerful jaws clamped down on Isla's leg, and she found herself in a deadly trap. The water around them turned red with blood. Isla's screams underwater mixed with the sound of the churning water. Clay immediately rushed at the shark, thrashing in rage. He was hitting the shark's snout and gills with all his might, trying to make it let go of its prey. Meanwhile, Eli wrapped his arms around Isla, keeping her head above water so she wouldn't drown. After a few desperate minutes, Clay managed to land a precise hit, and the shark, startled, swam away. Eli and Clay quickly lifted Isla onto the boat. She was in shock, bleeding out, and soon lost consciousness. When they reached the shore, the girl was rushed to the hospital, where doctors began fighting for her life. Isla survived, but her injuries were serious, and she faced a long recovery and worked with physiotherapists. Diving with sharks is definitely an exhilarating adventure that can pump your blood with adrenaline and give you unforgettable emotions. At first glance, it seems that being in a protective cage reduces the risks to zero, but reality sometimes delivers unexpected lessons. A new group of tourists was getting ready for a safe dive in the cages to see the predators up close. At first glance, it seems that being in a protective cage reduces the risks to zero, but reality sometimes delivers unexpected lessons. Another group of tourists was getting ready for a safe dive in the cages to see the predators up close. Everything started off smoothly. People admired the majestic creatures of the ocean. Suddenly, one of the sharks started showing a persistent interest in the cage. It circled around, testing the strength of each element. The water filled with tension as the shark began to squeeze its way in. Its size, as it turned out, made it possible to do this. One of the tourists underwater, gripped by panic, started signaling to the surface, demanding an immediate ascent. Fortunately, she managed to get out before things took a more serious turn. Stories like this are not uncommon. Although sharks rarely get right into the cage, their behavior often makes divers' hearts race. For example, in one well-known case, a great white shark, measuring several meters in length, swam up to the cage and bit down on its bars with such force that the whole structure shook. The tourists watching this from inside must have held their breath, staring into a mouth filled with hundreds of shark teeth. The shark soon lost interest and swam away. But here's the question: what should divers do? If a young shark suddenly swims by, its size allows it to easily slip through the bars of those cages. How can you be sure that the predator won't decide to take too much of an interest in the people? If a young shark were to suddenly swim in to visit them, its size would allow it to easily pass through the bars of such cages. How can you be sure that the predator won't decide to take too much of an interest in people? And who even controls these situations? However, judging by the behavior of many extreme sports enthusiasts, they do not seem to be particularly concerned about such dangers. Courage and a thirst for thrills push them down, right into the arms of ocean giants like tiger sharks. In this video, for example, a massive tiger shark circles around the cage, as if intending to look one of the divers in the eye. The man, sensing a threat, carefully turns away and tries to keep his distance. And he's right to do so, because coming face to face with this predator is a pretty questionable pleasure. Tiger sharks are true titans of the seas. They can grow up to 16 feet long and have quite an impressive diet. Fish, marine mammals, birds, crustaceans, turtles, cephalopods, sea snakes. But that's not all. Scientists often find completely inedible objects in their stomachs. Why does this happen? It's simple. Tiger sharks have a natural curiosity. They're ready to bite anything interesting, even if it smells bad. They're ready to take a bite out of just about anything that seems even a little interesting, even if it smells, to put it mildly, disgusting. This tendency to experiment can be explained by their status as a dominant predator. Basically, tiger sharks have almost no enemies, except for orcas. However, because these sharks prefer warm tropical waters, encounters with orcas are extremely rare. Did you catch a shark? Dante, Marshall, and Reed are three young but experienced fishermen who share a passion for underwater hunting in the waters of Australia. For them, it's not just a hobby, but a way to relax, get that adrenaline rush, and enjoy the beauty of the ocean. Their usual fishing adventures often ended with a hot catch on the grill, turning every trip into a little celebration. One time, they headed to their favorite spot on the coral reefs, turning every trip into a little celebration. One day, they headed to their favorite spot on the coral reefs. Dante, known for his accuracy, volunteered to be the first to dive underwater. He loved catching parrotfish, and his friends had no doubt he'd be back soon with a full catch. Diving into the clear water, Dante was, as always, mesmerized by the beauty of the coral reefs. As soon as he spotted a bright fish, he quickly aimed and shot, hitting the target dead on. When Dante emerged with his catch, it was the marshal's turn, who was always looking for a bigger catch. His dive was also successful, and finally it was Reed's turn. He decided to make one last dive to catch the fish he had spotted earlier. But time went on, and Reed still hadn't returned. Dante and Marshall started to worry. but they figured he had just gone deeper in search of his catch. Their worry intensified when Reed suddenly surfaced from the water, waving his bloodied arm and screaming that a shark had attacked him. Before the friends could react, a huge great white shark leaped out of the water and grabbed Reed, dragging him under. Dante and Marshall instantly grabbed their guns and jumped into the water to save their friend. Underwater, they saw a horrifying scene. The shark was violently shaking Reed's body, who was desperately fighting to break free from its jaws. Dante quickly aimed and shot the shark in the belly. The spear's strike made the predator freeze for a moment, but it only fueled her rage. The shark started shaking Reed even harder until Marshall delivered a second blow. The second spear finally made the shark release its prey and swim away. Without wasting any time, the friends grabbed Reed and pulled him onto the boat. He was unconscious, with multiple wounds on his torso and arm. Marshall immediately started CPR while Dante sped the boat toward the shore. The doctors at the nearest hospital confirmed Reed's serious injuries, but they managed to save his life. For the friends, this adventure was not just a reminder of the treacherous nature of the ocean, but also a test of their courage and loyalty to each other. These are the kinds of stories about sharks. Exciting, scary, but incredibly captivating. Would you dare to dive with these sea predators? Share your thoughts in the comments. And by the way, if you want to be part of our team, we're looking for creative writers, voiceover artists, and editors for our projects. Interested? Then click the link in the description and submit your application. Thanks for watching.